A poor black boy saved a millionaire. She was beaten in the street, but what she whispered made him cry. Jennifer Langston had everything, or so it appeared. Tech CEO, self-made millionaire, featured on Forbes' Women Under 40 to Watch. But no one watched when she collapsed, emotionally. For years, Jennifer had poured everything she had into building her empire. She had burned through friends, assistants, even 2 marriages. Her only son, Austin, had grown up in luxury but never in love. She thought throwing money at his future would somehow fill in her absence. Private schools, top-tier tutors, a Porsche for his 18th birthday. But Austin didn't want her money. He wanted her attention. And when he didn't get it, he vanished. 2 years ago, he stopped calling, changed his number, moved abroad, and left only one final message behind. I don't want your money. I want a mother. Since I never had one, don't pretend now. Jennifer never spoke about him again. Not to the press. Not to her friends. Not even to herself. But the silence festered inside her, eating her from the inside out. On the outside, she still looked the same. Powerful, put together, unstoppable. But inside, she was breaking. Until one rainy night, in the wrong alley, everything finally snapped. Across the city, 11-year-old Malik had nothing. No nameplate. No suits. No headlines. Just a scar across his eyebrow from a foster home. He barely remembered. He hadn't been to school in months. No one noticed. No one came looking. He slept in doorways, picked half-eaten sandwiches out of dumpsters behind diners. Most days he went unseen. And he liked it that way. People were crueler when they saw you. That night, Malik had just crawled behind a dumpster near 6th Street. It was warmer there. The bakery next door always threw out old pastries that still had a little sugar on them. He was settling in for the night when he heard shouting. A woman's voice. Then a man's. Then another. He peeked out from behind the bins and froze. 2 men in black jackets had a woman pressed against a brick wall. One held a metal pipe. The other had her purse. You scream, we finish it, one of them hissed. The woman was bleeding from her face. Her hands trembled as she tried to shield herself. Her high heels were broken. She looked expensive. Too expensive for this part of town. Malik's first instinct was to stay hidden. But then she looked at him. Just for a second. Her eyes, bruised, panicked, locked with his. And in that second, something stirred inside him. It had been so long since he felt like anyone saw him. Really saw him. And somehow, even with blood on her face and fear in her eyes, she looked at him like he mattered. Like she needed him. The men left after she collapsed. They laughed as they walked away, one of them swinging the metal pipe like a trophy. Malik waited until they disappeared into the shadows. Then he ran. He knelt beside the woman, bloodied and barely breathing. She tried to speak, but her voice was too weak to understand. I'm going to call someone, Malik said, pulling a cracked burner phone from his back pocket. His fingers trembled as he dialed emergency services. She's bleeding, he told the operator. She's hurt real bad. Send someone now. Please. Suddenly, her hand gripped his wrist. He looked down. Tears were streaming down her face. You're the first person, she whispered, her voice like gravel, who didn't walk away. Malik blinked, his throat tightening. If I die here, she said, coughing up blood. Just know you saved more than my life. She winced, her chest heaving. You saved my faith in people. He held her hand until the ambulance came. Later, the story made the news. Not with his name, of course, they never said his name. Just that a young boy had saved Jennifer Langston's life after she was mugged and left for dead in an alley. She recovered slowly. When asked what she remembered most, she said, he had nothing. But he gave me everything. Jennifer never found out where he went. Malik didn't wait for thanks. He disappeared back into the city, back to the streets that forgot him. But for the first time in years, he didn't feel invisible. And for the first time in her life, Jennifer Langston stopped pretending. She started showing up at shelters, funded youth homes. She quietly created a scholarship under the name M. And she never again ignored someone who looked lost. All because one night, a boy with nothing reminded her what it meant to be human. People. That word used to mean nothing to Malik. But as he knelt beside the broken woman, something inside him shifted. His throat tightened. And then she whispered, "I wish my own son had your heart." That broke him. A tear slipped down his cheek before he could stop it. He had been invisible his whole life. And now, this woman, this bleeding, broken stranger, had just said the most powerful thing he'd ever heard. She wished he were hers. Malik stayed until the ambulance arrived. He didn't wait for thanks. He didn't give his name. When the sirens came, he vanished into the shadows. Because kids like him don't get remembered. But for the first time someone might try. Jennifer Langston woke to the rhythmic beep of monitors and the distant scent of antiseptic. Her head throbbed. Her ribs ached. Her eyes were swollen. But she was alive. She tried to sit up, but a nurse gently held her back. "Easy, Ms. Langston. You've been through a lot." Jennifer's voice rasped. "The boy, where is he?" The nurse blinked. "What boy?" "The one who called. Who stayed. He saved me." Surveillance footage showed the alley. The men attacking her. But the camera never caught Malik's face. The police asked for a description. "All I remember," she whispered, "is that he was small, young, and brave." She repeated what he said. And what she had whispered. Her voice cracked every time. 2 weeks later, Jennifer left the hospital. But she didn't return to her penthouse. Instead, she gave her driver a new destination. Every outreach shelter, food line, and youth program in the city. For days she searched. Then one evening, just before dusk, she saw him, curled beneath an underpass, arms wrapped around a tattered jacket, fast asleep beside a shopping cart. "Malik!" She stepped out of the car slowly. He opened one eye and jolted upright. "Wait, hey, it's you," she breathed. He backed away, alarmed. "I didn't take anything." "No," she said, holding her hands out gently. "You gave me everything." His eyes narrowed. "Why are you here?" She swallowed and knelt beside him. "Because you saved me. And I haven't stopped thinking about you since. I owe you more than my life. I owe you a future." It took convincing. Malik didn't trust easily. But she didn't give up. She didn't flash wealth. Didn't promise him the world. She just showed up. Every day. With food. With blankets. With a chair beside him where she'd sit and talk about nothing. Just so he'd stop feeling like no one saw him. And slowly, Malik let her in. Months later, Malik moved into a safe home Jennifer quietly funded. She arranged tutoring, therapy, a real chance. She didn't push. She let him go at his pace. One night over dinner, Malik looked up and asked, "Why are you really helping me?" Jennifer paused, then looked him in the eyes, tears forming. "Because in my worst moment, when the world walked away, you stayed. And I won't forget that." He nodded slowly, then smiled faintly. "Can I call you Ms. Jen?" She laughed, for the first time in years. "Only if I can call you kiddo." As Malik rebuilt his life, Jennifer didn't stop. She sought justice. Using her influence and connections, she worked with detectives and security analysts to trace the men who attacked her. It took months. One had tried to flee the country. The other was caught on unrelated charges. The weapon, the same pipe used on Jennifer, was still in his possession. They were arrested, charged, and eventually convicted. Jennifer testified in court. Calm. Composed. Not for vengeance, but for closure. Not just for her, but for every boy like Malik who watches the world walk away from people who look like him. Unshaken. That's how Jennifer Langston stood. Calm, steady, focused. When asked why she pursued justice so relentlessly, she didn't hesitate. Because boys like Malik shouldn't live in a world where men like that walk free. It was never just about her. It was about what came next, for him, and for others like him. 2 years later, at a youth leadership summit Jennifer helped fund, a teenager in a clean button-up shirt and slacks stepped up to the microphone. He adjusted it carefully, cleared his throat, and looked out at the crowd. It was Malik. "I used to sleep in an alley," he began, his voice strong but sincere. "The kind of place where people don't see you, where you don't matter." He paused. "Then one day, I helped someone, and she saw me. She remembered me. And that changed everything." He glanced toward the front row and smiled. Jennifer sat there, eyes glistening with quiet emotion. "Now," he continued, "I want to help others. Because no one's invisible forever. Not if just one person believes in you. The room erupted in applause. Jennifer wiped a tear from her cheek. But it wasn't from pain. It was pride. Because once upon a time, she had nearly died in the dark. And now, under the bright lights, stood the boy who had brought her back to life and was building a life of his own. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.